Hello everyone, it's Josh, JE Vintage Minis in Orlando, Florida. Alright, for sake of not duplicating some of the information I'm making video-wise, I do have a video I've already done on the 3-speed semi-auto clutch friction material replacement, so I'll put that in the summary under this video that you can watch if you want to watch the whole job as far as getting the discs replaced. I'm not going to film that for this bike. If I see something interesting along my way taking this apart, I'll give you some video of it, but otherwise go to the other link to get the clutch replacement and service video. Just thought of this too, just a tip, I use an impactor with the JIS bit to get all my case screws unlocked. It works really well for me. I don't mess with the other one. I had a vessel that you'd use a hammer and it would impactor, but when I use my battery operated impact gun with the JIS bit, I don't put it at like full torque, kind of keep it at enough to break these loose, and I gently reverse out. I just kind of give it a few torques, not fully engaging the trigger all the way. So what I'm going to do is just kind of hopefully film this for you. So I kind of just jolt it a little bit and then it will gently come out. So don't put it balls to the wall, you might strip it. Just want to capture this for the owner so he sees that his engine actually is a very well kept up engine. Oil screen is actually very clean looking, so yeah, no debris in there, so very nice looking engine from an aesthetic standpoint. No goop or sludge or anything down here. So I didn't even take the clutch out yet, but I multitask, and my tip to use, get some saran wrap and use it as a protective barrier. You don't want anything getting in these engines, so I'll wrap mine up with some saran wrap to make sure no debris is getting in there, and the reason being is I'm going to jump onto this cover and get it refurbished and repainted, and once I get that done and that's drying, I'll put my focus back on getting the clutch. But goal is to get this thing closed off and sealed back up as soon as possible. Parts media blasted, primered, and now I got the Honda Silver Cloud on it. Alright, I lied. I'm going to show you a little bit of removing this clutch, just this top plate here with these particular screws. Again, those are JIS screws, but that's going to be a number 2 JIS bit. And these can be very tricky in regards to stripping out and causing problems. They're in there really tight from the factory, and this is again why I prefer to have a battery operated impactor, and then that shocking method that I showed you with the jolting, like not giving it a lot of torque on the driver itself, but doing little incremental impact hits, is going to save you in this situation. And that's why that tool is awesome. Battery operated impactor is a great tool to have. So number 2 JIS bit, and then you're going to want to just, and also with an impactor, you don't need to hold the clutch with any special tool or anything, but yeah, just really put some pressure behind the tool itself, so you're seating that bit into into its grooves, and then just give it some jolts, slow, simple jolts. And the point is not to strip that head. It's going to break for you. So there you go. I already did this one. It's loose already. And then this one now. So these are factory bolts. This is as tight as you're going to find them. So that one's maxing out my torque setting. I'm going to go to the next strength on my drill. Again, just do these little incremental torques. Oh, look at that. Jeez. Alright, so I take that back. This one is in there so tough it blew up my bit. I grabbed another different JIS bit and it broke that too. So before I get any further into ruining this top of this screw, I'm gonna take a cutoff wheel and slit it for a flathead bit. I'm gonna make a groove in it to make a flathead bit go down into it as deep as I can get. So first thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna give it some more protection here so that any debris that I create, I'm gonna get some tape and put some painter's tape around all these open holes on this clutch. Even though I'm gonna pull it, I just want to make sure nothing gets in down into anywhere on this engine. I'm going to try and get a little smaller Dremel wheel. Alright, so just got a smaller wheel, smaller circumference, because I'll start to cut into this cover. I want to kind of not do that, obviously, and then I want to get this as deep as possible for the best chance of that flathead bit seating as far into the screw as possible before I hit it with some torque from the driver. Let's get my flathead tip and see what happens. Alright, let's see if that worked. Let's see if plan A works here. Hopefully. I'm going to push down really hard here. Yes. So, let me get that camera on it. So you can see how I cut that down and made a really deep recess. I'll tell you, these screws on this clutch cover are so tight, so that's why you tend to strip them. And I've had a good lucky streak, but I was trying to make a video of how successful my driver has been, but even this screw gave me problems. But here's a fix for you guys before you get really destroyed screw heads. Try this flathead method. So you saw that thing gave me all those problems, but now it just came loose with that method. So back to getting that clutch out, thankfully. And then also, you know, I didn't have to make a lot of, you know, if you drill this thing out, you're gonna have debris all over the place and worrying about all these little pieces of aluminum and steel getting everywhere on your case. But with that grinding wheel, it's very minimal stuff that gets kicked around, but if you cover everything up, I think you're going to be okay. So clutch is rebuilt. I had a bag of these. I've had such a good run without having to use them, but I have always kept a bunch of these on hand. So I got a new one since I had to destroy the other. I'm going to get that in, and I'm going to get the clutch cover back on. Get this thing sealed up. So when you're getting this case assembled, you're going to put this stud and actuator clutch adjustment mechanism back in, and then you're going to put your, don't forget to put your little O-ring here. You will get some leakage out of the side cover. So O-ring, washer, and then a nut. Side cover's on, clutch is adjusted. I'm going to get the foot pegs back on so I can put this bike back on a kickstand for me to work on tomorrow when I do the top end for the CHP kit. Just a quick tip on the order of assembly. Since we're at that stage, I'm getting my foot peg back on and the brake, and I need to get the spring on. But let's even say you're building a refurbished bike and you're at the point where you're gonna get your kickstand and foot brake on. Leave your kickstand off, get your brake on first, your brake foot pedal on first. And the reason is that this spring can be a challenge to stretch if you have your foot pedal on, because it's going to limit how much up this can come. And as a result, you're limiting, you're creating a larger space between what you have to stretch the spring at. And if the foot peg's not there, you can essentially just almost hand do it. If you can see what I just did, I just put that spring on because I'm able to bring this pedal up, and then later you'll be able to just push it down and slip your foot pegs in. And the reason that's good advice is that if you don't and you put your foot pegs on, you're fighting that distance to pull that spring up because you're limited by your clearance of your foot peg versus your foot pedal. Pulling on that spring, there's a high chance that you're going to slip holding it with a tool and marring your new paint job or whatever powder coat finish. So this way, spring on, you're not fighting it, and then push it down and then run your foot pegs in. You'll thank me later. Alright, just another visual just to make sure I relayed that brake lever thing before your foot pegs. So also put a little piece of cloth or something in between, because it's going to want to pull up and hit. If you just repainted your case, it's going to want to hit your side cover here. So just put something nice and cushiony there. Also, like I said, use your small. I'm going to only put the 2 bolts in the back because I'm still not hooking up my front the engine guard. So I'm not going to bother putting the 2 front bolts in on the foot peg. I'm just going to hold it in place with the 2 rear ones. And remember that they're the 2 shorter bolts that go in on the back side. So remember what I said, it's already snapped on real easy, and all I got to do is pull that down. So I'm not going to have to fight that spring anymore. Alright, so got the brake rod back on with the barrel nut, and it's Justin nut. That's going to be it for this part of this video build for the 88 kit from CHP. Tomorrow I'm going to work on the top end. So got it on its kickstand, makes it easy for me to work. I'm going to leave off all the other stuff because I got to get to the head and pull that, and that's it.